Welcome in, everyone. My name is Robbie. I'm one of the owners of the Sharp Money Discord. You might also know me as Closing Dime. Today, we're going to talk about the 10 most commonly asked questions that I see inside of my Discord, which has close to 5,000 members. Everyone that joins is looking to make a profit with positive EV betting. We have beginner bettors all the way to very advanced bettors that are making tens of thousands of dollars a year. So I see a range of questions on the scale of beginner to advanced. So I'm just going to show the 10 most commonly asked questions. We're going to go over it, and hopefully some of these answers help you guys out when it comes to positive EV betting. The first question that gets asked by a lot of newer members are, how many bets should I be placing in one day? I think newer members join and they start maybe putting out 20 plus bets in a day, and they feel like maybe they're overextending themselves because a traditional, recreational bettor probably only throws out a couple plays every day. But when you're EV betting, when you have an edge, where you're betting with an edge, you want to get down as many bets as possible that don't correlate with each other. So obviously, you don't want to put out 150 bets on two MLB games. But if there are college basketball games, NBA games, football, all going on at the same time, you can have over 100 plus bets out. And sometimes when I actually first started betting, I would bet my entire bankroll before noon, and then games would start settling and I would be able to bet even more. So volume is key. I always think about it this way too. If you are going to bet 25 bets today, 25 tomorrow, 25 the next day, whatever, in 4 days, you're going to have 100 bets and you're going to have that sample size. If you can get them all spread out within one day, you're basically just doing the work of 4 days in one, as long as you're appropriately betting. Like I said, you don't want to have a million bets that all correlate with each other and you're going to see these big swings. What's important to get down as many bets as physically possible with an edge. Now, don't force volume if you don't think the bets are good, obviously, but if you find an edge, hit it as hard as you can with as many bets as you can. The next question I get asked all the time is, how much money should I start with, or what should my starting bankroll be? Now, this is a different answer for every single person. It depends on your financial situation, of course. For me, it was $2,000, and this was the amount of money that I was going to invest in some type of long-term investing. Most likely, I was just going to put it in the stock market, but this was $2,000 that I knew I did not need in my savings account and checkings account. This is just extra money that I wanted to put aside towards some type of investment. Luckily, I found sports betting, and I ended up turning that $2,000 into $75,000 in the course of less than 2 years. But you can really start with any amount of money. What I would say is, don't pay for a service that is more than like 10% of your bankroll. So if the service is $100 a month, make sure your bankroll is probably around $1,000. With that being said, there are tons of free tools out there where I've seen people start with $100 betting $1 or $2 per play. The big thing here is focus on promos and boosts and really like free plus EV plays. You don't have to pay for anything to start your plus EV journey. So definitely, whatever money you have, that's the money that you should just start with and just go. I wouldn't pay for anything if it's too much compared to your bankroll, but you could definitely start with very little amount of money. With that being said, the more money that you can start with, the more money you're going to make. It's just like everything in life. The more money you have, the more money you're going to make. But sports betting compounds quickly. So even small bettors can scale up into larger bankrolls fast. But your ability to scale is really limited if you don't start with more money. So if you can start out with a few $1,000s, that is great. A lot of people aren't going to put in $10,000 in sports betting because at first, they're not sure of the concept. They're not sure how everything works, how much money they're actually going to make. So it's hard to really commit a lot of money to it. If I was starting fresh, I would save up as much money as possible, start with a huge bankroll, and then scale it up. Eventually, you will get limited on the sportsbook's accounts. Sportsbooks are a business. They don't want people to make money. So they will limit how much you can bet. And you can get limited when you're betting $1 or $100. So if you can start with more money, you'll be able to make a lot more before you get limited. Now, even with limits, I'm able to bet and get a lot of money down and make a lot of money. So don't worry about limits. That's another discussion that we'll have. The third question is, should I parlay my plus EV bets? And I don't know what it is about the general public, but they absolutely love parlays. They love the big payouts. But I'm telling you, you should not be parlaying plus EV bets unless you're playing some type of boost or promo or trying to get around some limits or trying to get more money down. That's more advanced. But typically, for a new better, avoid the parlays at all costs. And like I said, unless you're getting boosted. So think about it this way: if you have three straight bets that all are expected to make you $3. So you have three straight bets. You're expected to make $9 total in the long term. Now, if you take those three bets together and you parlay them, you're still expected to make $9 in profit with that bet, but your probability of winning just went way down because you parlayed it. So, in the end, if you are someone that is placing three bets as straights versus three bets as a parlay, then you're going to end up with the same profit loss theoretically. But the swings of a parlay better are going to be up and down like this because they're so volatile and the win probability is so much lower when you parlay them. So there really is no reason to parlay unless we're talking about avoiding limits or staying under the radar of a sports book. Like there's a lot of different reasons too, but for the most part, that's none of the reasons why you are thinking about parlaying your bets. So just don't do it. The fourth question, and this is a great question, is when should I take profits out of my sports betting accounts and use them in my everyday life? So, what I typically say is do not touch your profits or anything in your bankroll for over a year. And the reason you don't want to touch your profits is because those profits compound and build your bankroll up, and then your unit size increases. So, as your unit size increases, you're going to make more money. If every time you make a couple $100s, you take it out, you're never going to scale up your unit size and you're never going to scale and be able to make tens of thousands of dollars. Now, the one time that I do recommend you taking money out is when it comes time to pay taxes. So, sports betting, this isn't the same in every single state, but it's typically taxed as regular income, which is around 24% of the profit you made. So if you made $10,000, you're probably going to owe $2,400 to the state or government, whatever it is that you owe. So you have to have that money available to pay out. So if you want to take out some profits to pay your taxes, that's great. If you have the extra money to pay it out somewhere else and you can keep scaling, then I would just keep scaling and I would pay for your taxes with other money. Now, with that being said, there is a time where you should take the money out, and that is when the money is no longer needed. If I have a Caesars account with $10,000 in it and Caesars only lets me bet $5 a play now, there's no reason to have all that money sitting there. So that's the time where you can take it out and invest it in stocks or go buy a truck or a piece of property or something like that. You can do something with your profits. But until you hit the point where you don't need that money anymore, then you should really not touch it if you really want to scale and take full advantage of plus EV betting. Question number 5, and this is a big one and possibly one of the most important questions to be answered and for you to figure out on your own. And that's how do you handle the swings of profitable sports betting? Now, there are massive swings, and you are going to experience the highest of highs and the lowest of lows when it comes to sports betting. And that's why people quit, because no matter how good you are at plus EV betting, you are at one point going to feel like you have no idea what you're doing and you're losing so much money that you just don't trust what you're doing at all. And this is very hard for a lot of people to deal with or battle through it. If you don't understand the concepts of plus EV betting, you're just going to quit after a downswing, which is what happens to a lot of people. Now, for me, it's just practice. It's just being good at losing, being good at winning, and just staying level headed throughout everything. Now, this comes with experience. The first 6 months that I was betting, if I went up or down a couple units a day, I would feel anxious about it. I would be nervous about it. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and see how my bets were doing. And it's really a ball of stress the first 6 months you are profitable sports betting. But over time, you learn how to deal with this. You start trusting the process even more. You've seen that your lowest of lows come back, your highest of highs come back, and you never freak out one way or the other. So, I've been doing this for 2 years now, and I've been pretty much comfortable the past year and a half with not caring about my everyday results. If you look at the big picture, I'm basically just a line that goes from bottom left to top right. The profits are there. If you look at this last month, I've lost $16,000 in a 1 month stretch. And you might think to yourself, how could you possibly deal with that type of money being lost? I realized I was at a peak. I realized I was turning a 10% ROI when I typically only return about a 3% ROI. So I was ready for a drop. Does it still hurt to lose that much money in a single month? Yes, it does, but I knew it was coming. And if you were able to zoom out, and if you've been doing this for a long time, you can zoom out and see the big picture. All of these big up and downs that feel like the end of the world that day or that week, they end up just being a flat little bump on, the smooth upward trend of plus EV betting. So it's really just over time, you're going to have to get comfortable with it. And that's what separates the really good EV bettors versus the bad ones. The good bettors, they stay emotionally level. They make good decisions, whether they're winning or losing. And, it's just a part of the process. That's a big reason why a lot of people don't EV bet, is because it's not guaranteed profits every single day. Long term, if you stick with it, the profits are going to be there. You see all these people posting on Twitter that they're winning every single day. They're all frauds for the most part. There's no such thing as winning at a 75% hit rate unless you're playing massive favorites every day. And there's probably no value in that. They're probably a losing bettor, even though they're winning 75% of the time. So really just, being able to harness your emotions and stay level headed through the up and down swings is really going to help you out when it comes to sports betting. Before we get into the next 5 questions, please hit a like on this video. If you're still around right now, I know you found this video somewhat helpful. Otherwise, you would have clicked out a long time ago. So please leave a like. You have no idea how much we appreciate it and how hard it is to get people to stop watching a video and just hit the like button. So please do me that favor right now if you can. Or if you like this content, you can also subscribe to our channel. That would be much appreciated. All right, let's get into the next 5. Question number 6 is, should I take a bet that I don't agree with or I don't think is going to win? The simple answer is yes, you should. The whole reason that positive EV betting works is because we trust that the market is efficient in giving us a true probability of an outcome. And then we use, the market numbers to see if there's an edge on a book. For you to say, like, I don't think that the Celtics are going to win tonight because they're on a back-to-back, they had a lot of travel time, they got an injury, all of that information, what you think is going to happen in that game, that's already priced into the line. So for you to think that your 5 minutes of research or just your gut feelings is a reason not to take a bet, that's just not the case. Now, if you spend hours and hours of diving into certain events and certain outcomes and you can come up with a win probability, sure, go ahead and or not place a bet because of that. But for the most part, don't go with your gut. It's the whole reason that plus EV betting works. It's all math oriented. There's no guessing. There's no feelings to it. There's no, gut feelings. It's all just math, and it's laid out perfectly for you. There's no reason that you need to think about it. So sometimes I will have people ask, like, say it's a bet against their home team. Do I personally place that bet? And I 100% do. Now, I'm from Massachusetts, so I'm a big Patriots fan, and I go to a lot of the Patriots games. I will go there when they're playing the Jets, and I'll have a few $100s on the Jets because that's where the smart money should be. That's where my money is expected to make more. Now, with that being said, I have a really good level of being able to remove my emotions from my betting. So I will go to that game with hundreds of dollars on the opposite team and still go there as a Patriots fan and hope that they beat the Jets. And, in the end, your money is going to keep scaling. And, if you can just separate your emotions from your actual feelings, then it's a great little combo where I get to bet on sports and make money and root for my team at the same time. The other angle on this question, whether you should place a bet that you don't like or you don't think is going to win, is that most of the bets you find as a plus EV bettor are in the under 50% win probability range. That means you're playing a lot of plus odds. So like I have a losing record long term, but I have a good ROI and a lot of profits to show. So a lot of the bets I place, they only have a 45% chance of winning, but they pay out like they have a much higher percent chance of winning. So if you asked me when I place a bet that is, plus 150 odds, do I think that bet is going to win? No. Do I think there's value on the bet? Yes. And that's why I place it. And a lot of people think in absolutes. So they say, if you don't think that bet's going to win, why would you place it? If you think this bet is going to win, why wouldn't you place it? And it all depends on the value. the odds and the win probability, they all correlate, and that's how you find value. So that's the answer right there, is bet with value, not whether you think something's going to win or lose. Question number 7 is, what EV percent and what odds should I be playing? So a lot of bets will be flagged with an EV percentage of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6%. A lot of people want to know what percentage they should be playing. And when it comes to the percentage, I'm actually open to play just about any percentage. If you are using a tool that shows line movement and where the market is going, then you can be confident playing small edges like 1%. Now, when it comes to the odds range, this is where I would tell newer bettors to only bet under plus 150 odds. So only bet plus 150, plus 140, plus 100, minus, 180, whatever it is, but don't go over plus 150. And that's just going to limit your swing of losing and winning. If you're playing, plus 200 odds, you're only expected to win 33% of the time. And that's just a little bit too much of swings for new bettors to handle. So if you are new to betting, plus EV betting, I would just stay under plus 150 odds, but I wouldn't worry about the EV percentage as long as you can see line movement and make a good decision on where the market is moving. Now, if you are placing blind EV bets, then I would recommend staying over about a 3% EV bet, and the plus 150 or better or worse odds in that type of range there. But for the most part, EV percentage can be a lot lower than you might think, as long as the odds are low and the market is trending in the right direction. Now, if you've been EV betting for a long time, I'm comfortable betting up to plus 200, maybe a little plus 250. I don't try to go past that too often, just because I don't like to see the swings as well. Question number 8 is, should I ladder plays? Now, we often find value on ladders, which means there might be a total of, in a basketball game, of over 195 points, over 196 points, over 197 points, and all three are plus EV bets. How do you decide which one to take? So it's different between a new bettor and a more advanced bettor, someone that has been limited. So a new bettor, what you want to do is you want to risk, 1 unit or whatever the recommended unit size is on the bet that has the most EV. So if there's one with a 3.5% EV, there's one with a 2% EV, there's one with a 2% EV, then just take the one at 3% and put your whole unit on that one. The other thing you can do, if you want to kind of play them all, play, throughout the whole ladder, you can just break it down to 0.3 units on each play. Now, long term, you'll make more money if you just pick the one with the higher EV percentage, but I'm also not opposed to splitting your unit up between the ladder, but never put one unit on 4 or 5 bets that all correlate together. It's just asking for disaster. That's really poor management of your bankroll. Now, if you are a more advanced bettor, you've been EV betting for a while, and you see a ladder like this is great. A lot of books will limit you. So for me, for an example, MGM is an account that I'm limited on, and my unit size might be $200. So I'm trying to get $200 on, that highest EV play, and it only lets me get down $30. So what I'm able to do is max every single ladder out and just get down as much money as possible. So if you are trying to get down your full unit and you can't do it on one bet, then just hit as many as you can. But for new bettors, pick one or spread out that unit or whatever the recommended unit size is on all 3 of the plays, but never bet multiple units on multiple ladders. It's just asking for trouble. Question number 9 is, what is a sharp book? Now, you might hear this term if you're a new EV bettor. We often use sharp books to determine the fair value of a line, use them as the source of truth, and then compare their lines and odds to the rest of the market to find value. So the sharp books are just books that have historically set better prices or more accurate lines than the rest of the market, meaning that their prices move first and get to the more accurate number faster. So if we see a sharp book moving their number in one direction, let's just say it's a spread on an NFL game, they go from +5 to +6 to +7. The sharp book is moving. The market is most likely going to follow because historically they've been proven to set the most accurate odds. So that's how we find value. When the sharp book has a line at +7 and you can get the same team at +10, then you can take that +10 because you know that +7 is probably the more accurate number. Now, the reason that sharp books are sharp is typically because they are willing to take larger wagers from professional bettors and then use that information to shape up their lines. So we talked about earlier in this video about people getting limited like myself on FanDuel, Caesars, DraftKings, MGM, ESPN, Bet, you name it. You're going to get limited on all those books if you make enough money. But there are books like Bookmaker, Circa, and Pinnacle, which are all considered sharp books, and they don't limit profitable sports bettors. So what they do instead is they profile all the bettors that are betting into their lines, and then they'll move their lines based on how those people are betting. So if a bunch of bettors that are labeled as sharp bettors or professional bettors all go to a Circle Sportsbook and start hitting the Patriots at +3 points, they're going to drop that line down to +2 points. Now, the retail books, they don't get this information because they're limiting their sports bettors down to pennies and they don't want to bet on their books. So the sharp books get that information first of where the money is coming. They know if the money is from a rec bettor or a professional bettor because they have everyone labeled, and then they shape their lines up like that. So sharp books are kind of what we call market makers, and they're always the first to move their line. They're the first to get the information from the professional bettors, and they're the first to get to that most accurate number. So that's what a sharp book is. Question number 10 is, what should my split of player prop bets versus main market bets like spreads, totals, and money lines be? At first, there really is no exact split. But what I would say is new bettors, you typically see that they're probably finding about 75% of their plays on player props and then the rest 25% on main markets. Now this happens because player props are very inefficient markets, meaning you can beat them easily, and there are a lot of plus EV plays that present themselves on the player prop. So when I first started, I was finding so many good bets on the player prop market. But what happens is the retail books, they know that these markets are inefficient, and once you start beating them for a long time, they will limit you down, and you are going to have to find more main market plays to get more money down. Now, a sports book will always be willing to take more money on a spread than a player prop because the spread market is more liquid and there's more people betting into that market. If you're betting, an NBA bench player to go over under a certain amount of points, there's not much money forming up that market. So the book knows that they really don't know where that line should actually be. So if you're beating them on these really niche markets, they're going to limit you on those player props. And eventually you're going to have to rotate and go probably more like 75% main lines to 25% player props. But like I said, at first, when you're building your bankroll, player props are going to be your bread and butter because there's so many plus EV plays with player props. So definitely attack them at first while you can, but then learn how to start beating the main lines and getting more money down there. If you found this video interesting and want to learn more about plus EV betting or start your plus EV betting journey, then join my Discord, the Sharp Money Discord. We have a free section of the Discord which gives you free promos to play, free plus EV plays, and a lot of other educational content. So if you are just getting your feet wet with plus EV betting, join that free Discord down below. And then we also have a premium plan, which we have bots that find plus EV plays for you. They send you notifications so you can get the bets in instantly, and you can scale your bankroll through the Sharp Money Discord and make a lot of money. Now, I have a video about the Sharp Money Discord premium plan, so definitely check that out. I think it's the most bang for your buck, under $50 inside, plus EV betting community. So definitely check that out. Please subscribe to the channel and like this video. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's go make some money.